All right. Hello, everyone. Just going to give, 15 to 20 seconds for everyone to get situated. Thank you again for attending Investor Summit Group Q2. My name is Jason Hassenberg, the COO at Investor Summit Group. With me today is Tim Oldham, CEO of AdAlta. Tim, please take it away. You can share your screen. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jason, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you happen to be. It's my great pleasure today to introduce you to AdAlta Limited. AdAlta is an Australian-listed biotechnology company generating a portfolio of next-generation protein and cell therapies as solutions to debilitating diseases. This presentation is subject to the usual disclaimers, but what I really wanted to share with you today is our vision and mission and the products we're developing to essentially go where traditional antibodies cannot to address debilitating diseases. So antibody drugs transformed the pharmaceutical industry 30-odd years ago when they were first approved. They provided unrivaled selectivity and specificity that small molecule drugs could not. But they can't do everything. And our platform technology, which we call our iBodies, represents a very powerful drug discovery platform that enables us to provide antibody-like specificity and selectivity in areas and applications where traditional monoclonal antibodies are suboptimal or ineffective. Our business is based in two parts. Our discovery business, built on our iBody platform, produces multiple high-value product candidates for development ourselves or for out-licensing. These candidates can then move into our product development business, where they're progressed through value-adding development milestones to enable us to then out-license them or pursue further co-development collaborations. Today, we have a product portfolio in the areas of fibrosis and inflammation, and also in the field of immuno-oncology. So a platform technology is wonderful, but it only makes a difference if you can produce products from it that make a difference. And this slide summarizes our portfolio today and the impact we're aiming to have on pharmaceuticals and healthcare. We have a lead program, which we call AD214, which operates in the field of fibrotic diseases. These are degenerative, progressive, and fatal, represent markets in excess of $4 billion. The second area where we're operating today is in the field of CAR T cell therapy. These are revolutionary new therapies for cancer that have transformed outcomes for blood cancer patients in particular. We're working on the next challenge in CAR cell therapy, which is taking these programs into solid tumors. And we're doing that in collaboration with another Australian biotechnology company called Carina. Again, I'll talk more about our CAR cell therapy platform later on. The third area we're working on is in the field of immuno-oncology drugs. We're doing this in collaboration with GE Healthcare. I won't have time to talk in detail about this program today, so in brief, what we're aiming to achieve here with GE is create a novel PET imaging agent that enables us to identify the responders to the new checkpoint inhibitor drugs as early as possible. These drugs have revolutionized outcomes for many patients, but really only between 20 and 40% of patients actually respond to them. And today we can't tell if you do not respond until your tumor has progressed 6 months down the track. Our goal with GE is to develop imaging agents that will tell us within days and weeks whether the therapy is working or not, and this helps us to get patients onto the right therapy as soon as possible. Underpinning all of this is our iBody platform. Our iBodies are a differentiated drug discovery platform available to partners and to ourselves to generate these new products and product formats where traditional antibodies have been unsuccessful. And this gives us the capability not just to develop the products I've just described that are already in our pipeline, but to repeat that process and replicate it over and over again to create a scalable business. I will flag that we are currently raising capital. We have just completed a rights offer for our existing shareholders, raising a small amount of money to help us put our lead product back into a clinical trial earlier than we would have otherwise expected, and to enable us to progress some transformational opportunities. The offer is 2 new shares at a price of 2.5 cents with 50% option coverage. and the issue price is approximately our market price today. We raised 1.3 million from our existing shareholders. That offer is now closed. We are placing the shortfall, and inquiries can be addressed to Peak Asset Management at the address on this screen, or to myself through the AdAlta website. So let me turn to our products. This is why we are in business. This is why we will ultimately create value, because this is a product, as are all our products, that will ultimately be saleable to pharmaceutical companies. So let's talk about the need first, and I'll use idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis as an example. So imagine we're all familiar with what happens when we cut ourselves or graze ourselves. Our skin repairs itself. It creates scar tissue. That scar pulls the wound together. It creates a stiffer and less flexible skin, and it also pulls and puckers and deforms the skin a little bit. Now, that's a natural part of wound healing, but imagine if that process didn't resolve itself, and imagine further that it happened in your lungs, which are expanding and contracting every second for your life. Scarring, particularly uncontrolled scarring, will then lead to significant reduction in lung function. Idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis is exactly this condition. We don't actually know what causes it, but we do know that it is a progressive runaway wound healing process, that the reduction in lung function is irreversible, the exacerbations are unpredictable, and today this is incurable. Almost 500,000 people around the world are living with IPF. They have a median survival of less than 4 years from diagnosis. And there are 2 current therapies on the market generating over 4 billion in sales a year. Yet they don't work particularly well. They slow progression, but they do not halt it. And they have serious side effects that prevent many patients from remaining on therapy for more than 12 months. So there's a significant unmet need for improved outcomes for pulmonary fibrosis. And there is a robust marketplace for new drug candidates, one of which could be AD214. But importantly, there are other fibrosis market opportunities. Fibrosis affects almost every other organ system. It's implicated in many cancers. It's probably implicated in long COVID, or part of the consequences of long COVID. And recently, in Australia at least, we've seen a re-emergence of concern around silicosis from things like artificial stone, again, another fibrotic disease of the lungs. So the importance of new therapies for fibrotic diseases is significant. AdAlta's solution is AD214, a product that is in clinical trials today and is now being ready for phase 2 clinical trials. What have we done so far? Well, we've built a pretty strong value proposition for this molecule. It's a first-in-class molecule targeting a validated mode of action. This means it has a unique competitive advantage and can be used in combination potentially with the other therapies that are in development for fibrosis. We've demonstrated preclinical efficacy in multiple animal models of fibrotic diseases, paving the way for multiple indication potential and multiple markets for this drug to access. We've established a good manufacturing process, critically important, obviously, for enabling clinical trials. And we've successfully completed a phase 1 clinical trial demonstrating a robust safety profile. The drug was well tolerated in single and multiple doses. We were able to demonstrate target engagement, and we were able to demonstrate long-term receptor blocking. We have a strong intellectual property position for this molecule with composition of matter patents out to 2036, and we have orphan drug designation from the US FDA, providing us with certain regulatory advantages once we reach approval and commercialization. The next step for this molecule is progressing it into a phase 2 intravenous clinical trial in lung or kidney fibrosis. We are actively engaged in numerous partnering discussions to enable us to finance this phase 2 clinical program, and we expect to do this with non-dilutive financing. In preparation for phase 2, we have booked the manufacturing and toxicology study slots. And as mentioned earlier, we're taking this molecule back into the clinic earlier than expected to do an extension study or a phase 1 extension study that will enable us to further test higher doses of the drug and gain greater insights into the safety profile, as well as the dosing schedule for phase 2 that will A, shorten the phase 2 program and B, reduce the cost of the phase 2 program for our partners. So the next step to watch out for 8214 will be this clinical trial, as well as news on the potential for partnering of this asset. As I mentioned, we're progressing this multi-dose phase 1 extension study to increase the maximum dose we can begin in phase 2, and we expect the top-line data from this study by the end of 2023. As I said, this is aimed to both shorten and lower the cost of the phase 2 study, as well as enhancing our partnering process. Now, we're doing this because these are valuable and important assets. The table on this slide shows recent transactions for idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis assets, ranging from preclinical to phase 2. You can see in the column in grey that the upfront payments for these assets are significant. The two blue boxes highlight the most recent transactions at both phase 2 and at preclinical, again emphasising the current value, the current demand from Big Pharma for assets in this space. 8214 currently is almost phase 2 ready and sits somewhere in the middle of this table. Right now, we're very pleased with the progress of partnering discussions. We're actively engaged with a number of large pharmaceutical companies under confidentiality agreements. Their questions are becoming more sophisticated, which is a good indication to us that they are advancing this asset through their decision-making processes quite rapidly. And I will be visiting Boston next week to progress most of those discussions at the Bioindustry Partnering Conference. Let me now turn to our CAR cell therapy program. So CAR cell therapies have revolutionized cancer outcomes in recent years. For the first time, we are now able to re-engineer a patient's own immune cells to fight cancer. This is not a traditional drug therapy. This is a living drug administered as a single dose, reprogramming a patient's own immune system to go and fight cancer. It is potentially curative, and the images on the top right are a nod to the first patient ever to receive a CAR T cell therapy. That young lady is now just turned 18, is 11 years cancer-free from a single dose of this CAR T therapy. And remember, she had failed every line of chemotherapy available to her. Now, these products have already generated $2.6 billion in sales a year from their first approval in 2017. The market is forecast to reach $20 billion by 2028. But our challenge is that market will only get there if we solve the problem of solid tumours. To date, the 6 approved products are for blood cancers. 90% of cancers are solid tumours, which are harder to target, harder to access, and come with a much more immune suppressive environment. The need here is for multifunctional CAR cell therapies that target more than one different tumour antigen. And this is where our iBodies, we believe, are particularly advantaged. So the picture on the right of this slide shows a CAR T cell. The two domains on the sort of 12 o'clock and 10 o'clock represent the chimeric antigen receptor, or CAR receptors. And the little red logos on the top are the binding domains, which are comprised in this case of our iBodies. When the iBody engages a tumour antigen, that signals the T cell or the immune cell to be activated. It secretes cell-killing molecules that then kill the tumour cell. iBodies are particularly advantaged in this application because they take up less room in the inserted gene than traditional technologies. And this is important because there's only a finite amount of genetic material we can introduce to an immune cell. Therefore, using iBodies enables us to potentially produce twice the engineered functionality. This enables us to produce CAR cells or iCAR cell products that target novel tumour antigens that are dual or bispecific CARs, so they can target multiple tumour antigens, which is really important to help address the heterogeneity or the diversity of a patient's individual tumour. We can also help engineer in greater persistence by helping to overcome immune suppression checkpoints. The iBodies can potentially be secreted by the T cell, as shown in the bottom left of the image, to effectively engage the immune suppression tools that the tumour uses. We could always also use the iBodies to stimulate the immune cells and overcome their exhaustion. So a diverse way that a really small technology able to bind unique tumour antigens can help overcome some of the limitations of CAR T cells that have limited their application in solid tumours. We're working with our partners at Carina Biotech to develop up to 5 of these programs already. And we're getting significant industry interest from other potential partners to replicate that type of collaboration and expand our opportunities here. We think this is actually a potential killer application, pardon the pun, for our iBody technology. And these assets are also incredibly valuable. You can see here recent deals that have been done in the CAR-T space for assets at preclinical proof of concept. So being able to demonstrate killing of cancer cells in an animal model, or reduction of tumors in an animal model. Again, upfront payments in the vicinity of $25 million if we get these right. So much faster and earlier to revenue and potential realization of return on investment than a therapeutic product. I touched a little bit briefly on the immuno-oncology collaboration we have with GE Healthcare, essentially trying to address who and who is not responding to the new checkpoint inhibitors. But in the interest of time, I will progress through that without further discussion. So all of this is underpinned by our iBody platform. Let's talk a little bit about what is it. Essentially, it is a antibody-like molecule that's 10% the size of a human antibody. It mimics the structural features and the size of single-domain antibodies found in the shark immune system, but with a fully human protein as the backbone. This gives it the ability to bind to unique targets, and also the small size enables us to be using it in multiple different formats. And you can see some of those formats on the right-hand side of this slide. I've highlighted the 3 that we're working on today. The FC fusion version is 8214. The radiotherapeutic version is what we're doing with GE, and the CAR cell therapy is what we're doing with Karuna Biotech. A really powerful drug discovery platform, not just because of the diversity of targets that it can hit, but also because of the adaptability and the flexibility of being able to construct unique therapeutic modalities from it. So let's talk about the investment opportunity in AdAlta today. This is a very quick snapshot of us. We are listed on the Australian Securities Exchange. We have a current market capitalisation of just $8 million, which we think represents an incredible undervaluation of our technology. But most CEOs will say that anyway, so I'll allow you to reach your own judgment on that point. We have $5.6 million at the end of March. We burn about $2 million a quarter. And as I mentioned, we're just in the process of raising another $3 million today. Bear in mind that we have an asset, 8214, approaching a partnering window with upfront payments in the vicinity of $20 to $80 million, being a reasonable expectation, any one of which is a huge multiple of our existing market capitalisation. And that's just one of the 4 or 5 active programs we have in development in our portfolio today. So this slide summarises the active assets we have in development. Our lead program, 8214, is progressing through phase 1 for intravenous administrations, but has also got potential in other routes of administration and multiple indications. Our Granzyme B program with GE Healthcare and our first Karuna target are in lead optimization and moving into preclinical. We have 2 other programs running with Karuna today, and a number of active or inactive programs at the bottom of this slide that are available for licensing. Our upcoming milestones reflect our key strategic priorities. The first of which is realising the value of 8214. The second program is extending our ICAR program breadth. The third priority is progressing our IPET program with GE. And the fourth priority is investing in our iBody platform. You can see the milestones here, and really the big ones are around the phase 1 extension study for 8214 and the in vivo efficacy studies from our first CAR-T program with Karuna Biotech. They're the operational milestones, and they demonstrate progress of our pipeline. I've highlighted in red the transformational opportunities that 3 different partnering strategies offer for our company. The first is the potential to partner 8214, which would generate the first major return on investment on this asset. The second is additional partnerships alongside the Karuna collaboration in the CAR cell therapy space, which provides non-dilutive financing for future programs. And finally, as part of our iBody platform investment, we're evaluating synergistic technology and product transactions that would bring in more advanced programs behind 8214 to provide nearer term milestone and inflection points, but also which could be further enhanced by our iBody platform down the track. So some pretty clear and defined operational milestones with blue sky upside ahead of us, with 3 different transactional streams that we're progressing aggressively. So in summary, we have an iBody platform that has the potential to create significant value, and our strategy is to continue to invest in this to maintain competitive advantage. We have a lead program in fibrosis and inflammation, targeting a $4.3 billion market, and our strategy is to realize return on investment in that program in the near term. In our immuno-oncology portfolio, we have 2 collaborations already in 4 programs. Our strategy there is to progress and extend those collaborations. Through that pipeline, we've demonstrated our ability to develop products and our ability to develop and maintain partnerships. And on top of that, we have blue sky inorganic growth opportunities through the 3 transaction streams that I mentioned previously. So looking ahead, we have a steady news flow coming with the wildcards of those transactions. We're not forecasting timing, but I'm pretty excited about the potential there. And we have a very attractive current valuation with the upside driven by those transactions and progress on the clinical side with AD214. And so with that, I will halt the presentation. I thank you for listening and look forward to any questions that you may have. My contact details are on this slide.
Thank you so much, Tim, for your presentation. If anyone has any questions at this point, you can put those in the Q&A section at the bottom. You can also, if you don't want to publicly put those questions in, you can also set up a meeting with Tim in our MeetMax platform. Again, we really appreciate the presentation, Tim. Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for attending. I'm going to give it a moment and then we'll wrap it up here. Okay, not seeing anything coming through at this moment. If anyone has any questions, please reach out to Tim directly. You can always reach out to us and we can connect you with Tim as well. Thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you, Jason.
Bye.